Дорогие друзья, мы начинаем новую тему, и я надеюсь, что она будет интересна для вас не только новой лексикой, которую мы изучим, но и содержанием, поскольку она непосредственно связана с вашей будущей профессией. Итак, занятие первое, часть первая. Профессия юрист подразумевает широчайший спектр деятельности. Это и люди, которые занимаются изучением права, обучением праву, исследованием в области права, ну и, естественно, их практическому применению. Понятие юрист подразумевает целый спектр профессий. Адвокат, судья, прокурор, нотариус, юрисконсульт, ну и, конечно, следователь. Все они объединяют в себе знания законов и правовых норм, ведь именно наличие различных правил, установок и нормативных актов отличает современное общество от первобытных дикарей, у которых все вопросы решались силовым путем. Exercise 1. Check your pronunciation. Law governs state. Rule of law state. Branches of legislation. Radical changes. Entire. Law enforcement mechanism. Prosecutor's office. Legal profession.
Once more, law-governed state, rule of law state, branches of legislation, radical changes, entire, law enforcement mechanism, prosecutor's office, legal profession.
Repeat and remember the translation. Law-governed state or rule of law state.
Правовое государство.
Branches of legislation.
Сферы законодательства.
Radical changes.
Радикальные перемены.
Entire.
Целый, полный.
Law enforcement mechanism.
Правоохранительный механизм.
Prosecutor's office.
Прокуратура.
Legal profession.
Профессия юриста. Once more. Law-governed state, rule of law state.
Правовое государство.
Branches of legislation.
Сфера законодательства.
Radical changes.
Радикальные перемены.
Entire.
Целый, полный.
Law enforcement mechanism.
Правоохранительный механизм.
Prosecutor's office.
Прокуратура.
Legal profession.
Профессия юриста. Exercise 4. Give your translation of the words. Law governs state. Rule of law state. Branches of legislation. Radical changes. Entire. Law enforcement mechanism. Prosecutor's office. Legal profession.
Once again. Law-governed state. Rule of law state. Branches of legislation. Radical changes. Entire. Law enforcement mechanism. Prosecutor's office. Legal profession.
Give your English translation of the words. Правовое государство. Сферы законодательства. Радикальные перемены. Целый, полный. Правоохранительный механизм. Прокуратура. Профессия юриста.
Once more. Правовое государство. Сферы законодательства. Радикальные перемены. Целый, полный. Правоохранительный механизм. Прокуратура. Профессия юриста.
Exercise 6. Let's practice. We are moving to the creation of a law-governed state. This movement is accompanied by cardinal updating of all basic branches of legislation. Radical changes take place in the entire law enforcement mechanism of Ukraine, in the work of the courts, prosecutor's office, legal profession, arbitration, police, and correctional labor institutions.
Once more, the legal profession. We are moving to the creation of a law-governed state. This movement is accompanied by a cardinal updating of all basic branches of legislation. Radical changes take place in the entire law enforcement mechanism of Ukraine, in the work of the courts, prosecutor's office, legal profession, arbitration, police, and correctional labor institutions.
Я уверен, что эти слова не вызовут у вас никаких проблем, и мы можем смело двигаться дальше. Exercise 1. Check your pronunciation. Arbitration. Correctional labor institutions. Rule of law state. Court. Responsibility belongs to judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors. Law-abiding state.
Once more, arbitration, correctional labor institutions, rule of law state, court, responsibility belongs to judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors, law-abiding state.
Exercise 2. Repeat after the teacher. Arbitration. Correctional labor institutions. Rule of law state. Court. Responsibility belongs to judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors. Law-abiding state.
Once more, arbitration, correctional labor institutions, rule of law state, court, responsibility belongs to judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors. Law-abiding state.
Exercise 3. Repeat and remember the translation. Arbitration.
Арбитраж. Третейский суд.
Correctional labor institutions.
Исправительные трудовые учреждения.
A rule of law state.
Правовое государство.
Court.
Суд.
Responsibility belongs to
Ответственность принадлежит
judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors.
судьи, адвокаты, следователи, прокуроры.
Law-abiding state.
Государство, соблюдающее законы. Once more. Arbitration.
Арбитраж. Третейский суд.
Correctional labor institutions.
Исправительное трудовое учреждение.
Rule of law state.
Правовое государство.
Court.
Суд.
Responsibility belongs to
Ответственность принадлежит.
judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors.
Судьи, адвокаты, следователи, прокуроры.
Law-abiding state.
Государство, соблюдающее законы. Exercise 4. Give your translation of the words. Arbitration. Correctional labor institutions. Rule of law state. Court. Responsibility belongs to. Judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors. Law-abiding state.
Once more. Arbitration. Correctional labor institutions. Rule of law state. Court. Responsibility belongs to. Judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors. Law-abiding state.
Exercise 5. Give your English translation of the words. Арбитраж. Третейский суд. Исправительное трудовое учреждение. Правовое государство. Ответственность принадлежит. Адвокаты, следователи, прокуроры, судьи. Государство, соблюдающее законы.
Once more. Арбитраж. Третейский суд. Исправительное трудовое учреждение. Правовое государство. Суд. Ответственность принадлежит. Адвокаты, следователи, прокуроры, судьи. Государство, соблюдающее законы.
Exercise 6. Let's practice. Radical changes take place in the entire law enforcement mechanism of Ukraine, in the work of the courts, prosecutor's office, legal profession, arbitration, police, and correctional labor institutions. These changes are to become an important step towards the rule of law state. So who should translate the legal reform into reality? Special responsibility belongs to those who are in the legal profession: judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors. A responsible mission in a law-abiding state is entrusted to courts that must become truly independent.
Once more. Radical changes take place in the entire law enforcement mechanism of Ukraine, in the work of the courts, prosecutor's office, legal profession, arbitration, police, and correctional labor institutions. These changes are to become an important step towards the rule of law state. Who should translate the legal reform into reality? Special responsibility belongs to those who are in the legal profession: judges, lawyers, investigators, prosecutors. A responsible mission in a law-abiding state is entrusted to courts that must become truly independent.
Итак, дорогие друзья, вы выучили и увидели, как употребляются в текстах слова по теме legal profession. А теперь мы вам предлагаем посмотреть небольшой видеофрагмент, где вы увидите, что из себя представляет профессия юриста в Австралии. That's all for today, and see you next time.
Hi, I'm Emma, and today, thanks to Student Edge, I'm here at the Supreme Court Gardens to find out exactly what it's like to be a lawyer. Now, we've all seen them on TV, on CSI, Law and Order, and I'm guessing you're probably thinking it's a pretty glamorous job, bringing hardened criminals to justice, saving the world one case at a time. But I'm going to guess that being a lawyer involves a little more than what we see on TV. And today, I'm catching up with real-life lawyer Matthew Keogh to find out what it's all about. So come on, let's go meet him. The image of the legal profession created by TV shows is certainly heroic. And while elements of this can be true, the on-screen stories represent the smallest tip of the iceberg in terms of the real work done by actual lawyers.
Emma, Matthew.
Hi. Pleasure to meet you.
And you.
I've got some questions I'd love to ask you about being a lawyer.
Excellent. Well, why don't we come over here and we'll have a chat about it. So, Emma, what would you like to know?
Well, Matthew, I'm here today because I'd love to know what it's really like being a lawyer. I'm guessing it's probably not quite the same as what we see on TV.
No, it's not just the highlights reel or all the intrigue. The majority of the work of a lawyer is actually spent in the office, sometimes long hours, and it's researching, it's writing, it's meeting with clients and talking to other lawyers about how to find the best way forward for a client. So it's not the everything you see on TV.
So not quite those intense courtroom battles, huh?
Look, they come up from time to time, but they're definitely not the majority of what you see going on at all.
What was it that made you decide that you wanted to be a lawyer?
I decided I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to help people, and law fundamentally is about helping people.
All right, Matt, it's now time for you to give us the edge. I've got 3 questions. The first question's, what qualities or characteristics make somebody a good fit to be a lawyer?
I think attention to detail, a passion for the law, and being a people person.
Would you say that it's possible for somebody to actually do some work experience with a lawyer before they decide to become one?
A lot of firms will allow high school students to come in for a day or even a week to do work experience through the high school programs so they can experience and see what it's like in a legal office and how it works. Quite often you have to set that up through a contact or someone you know, or you can go through the Law Society. They can quite often put teachers and students in contact with a lawyer that can take a work experience person, because it is really important you get to see what it would be like before you go into it. The other thing is, there's so many different practices of law and specialities that each of them is quite different, and just because you find that one doesn't work for you, another one might be something that you're really interested and good at.
And finally, if you could change one thing but still end up where you are today, what would you have done differently?
I think the one thing I would have done differently is find out more about the job and more about how to get into those roles in the legal profession earlier. I'm really happy with where I got to and the work that I do, but what I have found is I probably could have got there maybe quicker or with a bit less effort if I'd found out more about it earlier.
Well, thanks for your time today, Matt. I really appreciate it. But just one last thing. I got this parking ticket.
Well, I'm a lawyer and City Perth's right there. I'm sure we can sort it out. It'll be fine.